she is known as the giver of fruits. Through her work, the two trees would be created, and her love for things that grow would result in the creation of the Ents. Today on Nerd of the Rings, we cover the Vala Yavanna Kementari, the Queen of the Earth. Her name is also her titles, Yavanna meaning giver of fruits, and Kementari meaning Queen of the Earth. Alongside our previously covered Valar, Yavanna is one of the Aratar, the exalted, greatest of the Valar. Among the queens of the Valar, it is said that Yavanna is next to Varda in reverence. As her name implies, Yavanna is responsible for all things that grow on the earth, from the tallest trees to the smallest patches of grass and moss. Her physical form is described in the Silmarillion. In the form of a woman, she is tall and robed in green, but at times she takes other shapes. Some there are who have seen her standing like a tree under heaven, crowned with the sun, and from all its branches there spilled a golden dew upon the barren earth. And it grew green with corn, but the roots of the tree were in the waters of Ulmo, and the winds of Manwë spoke in its leaves. In the Song of the Ainur, Yavanna sang of branches of great trees that would receive the rain of Manwë and Ulmo, and she would later say that some of her trees sang to Ilúvatar. In the earliest days of the world, Morgoth, who was unable to create life himself, would corrupt the creatures of Yavanna. Thus she would support all plans against the Dark Lord. After Tulkas drives away Morgoth, Yavanna plants seeds, which she had long devised, bringing plant life to the lands in a period known as the Spring of Arda. When Melkor returns and destroys the two lamps, causing the Valar to flee to Aman across the sea, Yavanna protects the living creatures of the world by placing them in an enchanted sleep, during which they would not grow or age until light should come again. With the lamps destroyed, Yavanna sings into existence a new source of light, the two trees of Valinor, the silver Telperion and Laurelin the golden. Watered by the tears of Nienna, the two trees grow to give light to all of Valinor. 3 Valar are described as acting against Morgoth during this time. As previously covered in his own video, Ulmo would remain in the outer sea and keep the earth alive. Orome, the hunter, would hunt the monsters of Melkor, keeping the shadows at bay. And Yavanna would come to Middle-earth, healing the hurts of Melkor. It is during the Great Sleep that Yavanna's husband Aule creates the 7 fathers of the dwarves. This would cause Yavanna great distress, for she feared that the dwarves would wantonly cut down all her trees. Aule responds that it would not only be the dwarves, but even the children of Ilúvatar, elves and men who would have need of her trees. Yavanna, who had seen her moving creatures, known in Elvish as Kelvar, corrupted by Melkor, and now facing the destruction of her plant life, known in Elvish as Olvar, takes her concerns to Manwë. "If thou hadst thy will, what wouldst thou reserve?" said Manwë. "Of all thy realm, what dost thou hold dearest?" "All have their worth," said Yavanna, "and each contributes to the worth of the others. But the Kelvar can flee or defend themselves, whereas the Olvar that grow cannot. And among these I hold trees dear. Long in the growing, swift shall they be in the felling, and unless they pay toll, with fruit upon bough, little mourned in their passing. So I see in my thought, would that the trees might speak on behalf of all things that have roots, and punish those that wrong them." "This is a strange thought," said Manwë. "Yet it was in the song," said Yavanna. "For while thou wert in the heavens, and with Ulmo built the clouds and poured out the rains, I lifted up the branches of the great trees to receive them. And some sang to Ilúvatar amid the wind and the rain." Manwë takes these concerns to Eru in prayer, and unto Manwë the purpose of Eru is revealed. Then Manwë awoke, and he went down to Yavanna upon Ezelohar, and he sat beside her beneath the 2 trees. And Manwë said, "O Kementari, Eru hath spoken, saying, Do then any of the Valar suppose that I did not hear all the song, even the least sound of the least voice? Behold, when the children awake, then the thought of Yavanna will awake also, and it will summon spirits from afar, and they will go among the Kelva and the Olva, and some will dwell therein and be held in reverence, and their just anger shall be feared. Thus when the elves awake, so do Yavanna's Ents, and their purpose of protecting her creation. Another of Yavanna's creations would on many occasions look after and assist the children of Iluvatar. Just as the thought of Manwë and Ulmo combined to make the clouds and the rain, the thought of Manwë, the Lord of the Air, and Yavanna, Queen of the Earth, combined to make the great eagles. Many thousands of years later, when the elves build their city of Tirion in Valinor, Yavanna creates the great tree Galathilion in the image of Telperion. Descended from this tree would be the white tree of Nimloth in Numenor and the white trees of Gondor. After her greatest trees are destroyed, Yavanna comes to Azelohar and tells the other Valar that if she could use the light of Feanor's Silmarils, she could heal them. Despite all her power as one of the Aratar, mighty among the mighty Valar, she could never again conjure the same light. Feanor refuses to part with his Silmarils, though by this time, Morgoth had already stolen them and fled to Middle-earth. Yavanna would once again work alongside Nienna, and together they are able to bring forth one silver flower from Telperion and one golden fruit from Lorelin. These she gives to her husband Aule, who fashions vessels for them. He in turn gives them to Varda, who places these lights, the sun and moon, in the heavens, out of the reach of Morgoth. After Morgoth's defeat in the War of Wrath, an island is raised from the sea for the men who had stood with the host of the Valar. The land is called Andor, meaning land of gift, though the men who inhabit it would come to call it Numenor. Yavanna would enrich this great land, and the elves of Tol Eressëa would bring further gifts of flower and fountain to the island realm. Much later, in the Third Age, Yavanna would send one of her servants to Middle-earth, for when the Valar decide to send emissaries, and Aule's servant Kurumo is chosen, Yavanna begs him to take Eowendil with him. Kurumo would consent, though ever after, this wizard Saruman would harbor a disdain for Yavanna's Radagast. And like his master Yavanna, Radagast would carry on her love of nature, working with and for the sake of the birds and beasts of Middle-earth. As always, I want to say a huge thank you to my Patreon supporters who make this channel possible. Tom DeBombadil 19, Listen Me the Cinda, Kella Brimbor, The Mighty Mim, Team Weasel, Rabbi Rob Thomas, Charles Leisure, Toby Mobs Music, CCDC Red Team, Nerd Sidgman Anytimer, Pelkey Sports Cards, Mookie the Brown, Christopher Carbaugh, Joe Tepper, Sky Carcass, Slide Belts, Dane Ragnarsson, Salim Rahman, Zetrock, Berto Berg, Grand Strategy Nerd, Graham Derricott, The Dark-Haired One, Wyland, Michael Wu, Grant McGregor, and Debbie. And today I wanted to give a special shout out to 7-year-old fan of the channel, Tyrion Hoke. If you enjoyed the artwork in this video, check out the artists in the description and purchase prints of their great work for yourself. Thanks so much for watching and subscribing, and we'll see you next time on Nerd of the Rings.